Hi everyone, my name is June He. I am an assistant professor in product design at Drexel University in Philadelphia. Today, I would like to share with you my latest teaching and research, Transformative Learning, Developing Community-Based Participatory Design Pedagogy with Interdisciplinary College Students. What is transformative learning? Jack Mazzaro, an American sociologist and professor of adult and continuing education at Columbia University, said transformative learning is an orientation which holds that the way learners interpret and reinterpret their sense experience is central to making meaning and hence learning. Today, I would like to share with you the transformative learning experience in my class, Aging and Design. This is a new class I started in the spring of 2022 at Drexel University. Before I dive deeper into the details of this class, first, let's listen to some of the quotes from my students and older learners. This is a paragraph student Isabella wrote in her reflection writing. This class was a unique experience and an amazing learning opportunity. I've learned many little things here and there, from different cultural cues and practices to people's personal traditions. It was all eye-opening. If I had to pick, though, the most important thing I've gained is the relationships I was able to make. This is a quote from one older learner in the course. Since the COVID-19 pandemic, over 2 years, the mood of our older community members has been very low. You have brought so much joy to our lives and enriched our spirits. The events reduced our distance and enhanced the communication between us. I see your efforts in our community, and I cannot express enough gratitude. Another student, Cray, wrote in her reflection, after each co-design session, my heart is full listening to the older adults. I was able to empathize with their feelings and the hardships that they are facing. One comment really stood out to me was when Mrs. Zhang said that it was the happiest day that she has ever been able to talk to us, showing hope for social connections despite the language barrier. It was a memorable experience that I will remember forever, and would love nothing more than staying connected with the participants afterward. In this new course, Aging and Design, we enrolled interdisciplinary students across the campus of Drexel University, from both undergraduate and graduate programs. They used community-based co-design methods to design with older Asian adults living in the local communities of Philadelphia. The older adults are above 60 years old. They are mostly Asian immigrants who do not speak English well. This course is a bridge to facilitate communication between these two groups, who do not have a chance to meet or talk on a regular day. By connecting them, we were trying to create an inspiring and enriching experience for intergenerational and cross-cultural participants to connect and communicate. According to World Population Prospects 2019, by 2050, 1 in 6 people in the world will be over the age of 65, up from 1 in 11 in 2019. And by 2100, there will be 25 million centenarians. All societies in the world are in the midst of this longevity revolution. Some are at its early stages, and some are more advanced. According to the Center for the Study of Hate and Extremism, anti-Asian hate crime increased by 339% in 2021 compared to 2020 in the US, with metropolitan cities including New York, San Francisco, and Los Angeles exceeding their record numbers in the previous year. Among these crimes, many have involved senior Asians across the country, with many being beaten, kicked, shoved, or stabbed. Older Asian adults face both the risk of ageism and anti-Asian discrimination. As an immigrant myself, I feel their pain. I have been asking these questions to myself. How might we create an educational experience to include and support them? How might we make their voices heard to a broader audience beyond their language barrier? How might we increase students' awareness and understanding of inclusive design in the real world? I believe community-based co-design is a great solution to transcend cultural and language barriers. That's why I started this course, Aging and Design. In this course, we collaborated with two community partners, Philadelphia Senior Center and CMAC, Southeast Asian Mutual Assistance Association Coalition. Here are all the students, the instructor, and the two research assistants in the course Aging and Design. Because my students are from various majors across the campus, I introduced them to layers of design theories from design thinking, participatory design, to community-based co-design, which is the methodology we used for this course. At the beginning of the course, all the students conducted a mood and mind mapping exercise on an online collaborative whiteboard platform. Each student wrote down the first few words or phrases coming to their minds when hearing the word aging. Empathic modeling was introduced in the second week of the course, before the workshops. It is a technique to simulate the situations of the users, to help students better understand users' circumstances. In this course, aging simulation costumes, vision impairment goggles, and arthritis simulation gloves were given out during the class for students to try on and discuss their experiences. This exercise stimulated students' senses and observation skills before their real encounter with older adults. Student Jury and Amjad wrote about their experience in the empathic modeling process. Our observations during this exercise allowed us to see that individuals struggling with arthritis have much difficulty performing simple tasks, which can seem effortless to the rest of the population. Before the launch of the class, we sent out flyers to local communities to look for interested older participants. We wrote flyers in English, Chinese, and Vietnamese to attract diverse older people living in the neighborhood. The instructor and the teaching assistants can write and speak these three languages, and they are familiar with the different cultures as well. We also sent out flyers to bring local volunteer translators and interpreters on board. They are instrumental to support and facilitate communications between students and older adults. Before going to the community, students had an assignment of making a participatory toolkit. The toolkit is a collection of materials and instructions that students can use to engage older participants. Students develop toolkits ranging from guided painting sets, mixed media social tree development, culturally relevant collage materials, and more. One important element in building the toolkit is to use visual elements, evoking memories, cultures, family stories, and topics relevant to older participants, so we can communicate beyond language barriers. We collaborated with two nonprofit community partners, CMAC and Philadelphia Senior Center. I brought my students to the local community center and also interacted with older adults through the virtual platform Zoom. We hosted 4 co-create and co-design workshops and a joint public-facing exhibition in the end. Generally, each team had 2 students, 1 older adult and 1 volunteer translator. Sometimes older adults brought their family or friends, and sometimes 1 or 2 students were absent. The key component here is to have at least 1 student, 1 interpreter or translator, and one older adult in each team. Here you can see our diverse team members, including students, older adults, interpreters, and the instructor. The first in-person workshop was in CMAX Community Center in South Philadelphia. It offers 3 components: mutual introduction, storytelling, and co-create. Very quickly, we realized that the interpreter or translator in a team plays a very important role in facilitating the conversation, especially because everyone was wearing masks, so it was hard to see the whole facial expression. Over the pastries from a local Chinese bakery, students and older adults got to know each other better by sharing questions and personal stories together. Students used a prepared participatory toolkit and open-ended questions to engage older adults from the community. They co-created works reflecting memories, culture, family relationships, and personal stories relevant to older adults. In the end, each group presented their co-created works with the help of faculty and interpreters. Everyone had an opportunity to listen to the older adults' stories and understand their needs better. The next co-design session was with the Philadelphia Senior Center. This group of older participants are more well-versed with technology, so we organized a meeting on Zoom. Similar to the last session, one older adult was grouped with 2 students and an interpreter in a breakout room. When conducting Zoom workshops, most student groups ship the participatory design toolkits with instructions to the older adults' houses. Others used mirror board and asked questions during the session to fill their boards. As you can see here, one older participant was showing her finished collage artwork using the images students shipped her a few days before the workshop. This is a mural board one student group shared with the older participant during the Zoom workshop. Students were demonstrating the elements that the older adult can use to show her ideas later. Currently, this student is building her own social tree. Later, she will build a social tree for the older adult by asking relevant questions. Here are some selected works from the co-create workshops, including topics like Build Your Dream Home, What Do You Miss the Most, Priority Mountain, Pictures Association, and many more. After both co-create and co-design sessions, students went back to the classroom, synthesized their gatherings, and started brainstorming ideas. Each group wrote down the key takeaways and what their participants need from 2 sessions one by one on sticky notes. Afterward, the whole class categorized all the notes into different themes. For example, language, transportation, nature, relationship, and hobby. I also introduced students to our hybrid lab and model shop to prepare them for the prototyping process. After a few weeks of analyzing the research and learning the design skills, students and their older teammates had a chance to have lunch and catch up together. The older adults expressed their wishes to get to know the students better. Therefore, we dedicated time for older participants to lead the conversation, ask questions about technology, and provide updates on their lives. During the co-design workshops, students brought prototype materials to the community center. They encouraged older adults to build the early-stage prototype and discuss their feelings and needs. By the end of the workshop, before the team's final presentation, one team disappeared. As I was wondering where are they, it turns out that the older participant in the team invited the 2 students and the translator to her vegetable garden a couple of blocks away because this team was working on designing an origami planting pot. One student said later, I looked forward to each week when we got to work with the older adults. They are so passionate and kind. Although there was a language barrier, there was no barrier to the connections we made. As I talked about this earlier, the older adults were curious about the young students as well. So during the Zoom workshop, we planned a Q&A session where they could ask any questions to the students. We also encouraged older adults to introduce their hobbies to the whole group. Then, students, older participants, and interpreters were assigned to breakout rooms for their co-design activities. The students explained their concepts and guided the older adults verbally and visually with the help of volunteer translators. For example, one student used software to invite older adults to co-build a public park with them together. The end of the semester, a public-facing joint group exhibition open to the whole Drexel community to showcase the research, products, and solutions developed by both students and older adults. The exhibition brought together Drexel faculty, students, volunteer translators, and community members to understand better aging for older Asian immigrant communities. During the exhibition, students hosted workshops with older adults, and both groups exchanged creative works to express appreciation. The final projects include service design for older Chinese adults to request translation assistance from volunteers, a subscription box model that partners with nonprofit organizations serving older adults, an origami-inspired planter to be built with family members, a public park catering to the needs of older adults living in Chinatown, a guided journal book with culturally relevant writing, drawing, and collaging elements, and more. Qualitative research methods were used to measure the effectiveness of the course. During the course, students developed a design process book and reflection writing. Older adults also gave their feedback to open-ended questionnaires after each workshop, and wrote reflections at the end of the collaboration, where they discussed the learnings, challenges, emotions, and advice for the future. Students described the class as a unique experience and amazing learning opportunity that gave them unexpected perspectives and insights. A few students mentioned that they gained more respect for older adults. The major learnings from students were understanding the struggles of an immigrant and learning how to transcend cultural, lingual, and technical barriers to design something simple and impactful. Older adults expressed that the experience inspired their creativity, ignited their passion, and enriched their lives. Some appreciated the experience that brought them confidence and joy, with a focus on heartwarming communications. At the end of the course, older students conducted a mood and mind mapping exercise again. Each student wrote down the first few words or phrases coming to their minds when hearing the word aging. Comparing the pre-course and post-course results, we concluded that students' perceptions towards aging are shifting from mostly negative to mostly positive. The community-based co-design collaboration in the course Aging and Design achieved many outcomes, including but not limited to build cross-cultural and intergenerational collaboration, transcending language and cultural barriers, brought marginalized voices out from older Asian immigrant communities. Students gained new perspectives and insights out of their comfort zones. Older adults learned creative skills and gained motivation to explore more. Interdisciplinary students co-designed with community older adults and developed innovative age-friendly solutions for the community. Students gained a fundamental understanding of empathic design and the aging process. Students increased cultural awareness, evaluated implicit bias and ageism towards an increasingly diverse older population. Older adults developed unique relationships with the students. Thank you so much for your time.